lawmakers are under the microscope again today. A report by a good government group shows over 100,000 violations of campaign finance law were committed in just a 2-year period. Capitol correspondent Pat Bailey joins us now live from our Albany bureau to fill us in further. Pat?
Liz, the New York Public Interest Research Group put together a report that shows in just 2 years every aspect of the state's finance laws were violated. Now, the report states specific lawmakers and how many violations NYPIRG shows them to have. Now, according to the report from January 2011 to January 2013, there were 103,000 violations of law. Those behind the findings say the violations ranged from donors putting the wrong address on forms to a blatant disregard of max donation payments. For example, the group says one corporation cut a one-time check for 10 times the max payment they're allowed to by law. Between a lack of oversight and loopholes, NYPIRG says the state's campaign finance laws are pretty laxed.
Creating this atmosphere where people get comfortable violating the law because they see that it's okay to not obey the part of the law that says you need to include the addresses of your payees. And this creates a whole system of chaos where nobody really knows what's happening or how money is being spent, and it's impossible for auditors, if they even existed, to figure out what's going on with candidates' campaign funds.
Now, I should mention here that NYPIRG is a big proponent of campaign finance reform in New York State, and they are also big advocates for using public money in campaigns. They say New York City has a good model and a track record of using public dollars in private campaigns, and the state should mirror that system. I also want to mention that right now the Senate Finance Committee, the Senate Committee, I should say, on good campaigns, fair campaigns, is meeting right now. And by all reports that these NYPIRG and these others that put this report out are being locked out of that committee hearing right now. We have a crew over there now getting video. Apparently they're very loud right now, Liz, and overshadowing what's going on inside the room.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. We'll look forward to that. Hey, you know, you talk about this in generalities, all these offenses, but can you give us a concrete example of something that the report found, Pat?
Well, sure. Now, by law, corporations are subject to give a max donation of $5,000 to a candidate. But this report says it shows 2 ways that the law was broken. One, again, that blatant disregard where apparently a check was cut to a downstate candidate specifically for $50,000. That's 10 times the legal limit. Now, the second way the law is broken, and apparently this is more of a common, perhaps the most common way, are with loopholes where corporations are allowed to have LLCs underneath those corporations. So every time the LLC cuts a check for $5,000, it's also actually coming from that corporation. But that is by law legal, and that's considered a loophole, and that's something that they want to clear up.
Yeah, I would think. All right. Thank you very much, Pat. We'll look forward to more later on.